So good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here, and my name is Velta, Skolmeistare. My surname is a bit hard even for Latvians to write it in a correct way, but I'm a student here at the University of Latvia, and I'm particularly interested in social media, especially social networking sites. And I guess today has been about media literacy and the information published on social media and the social media regulations. So it might be that this presentation will be a bit more neutral and cover just the habits of using social media, but also some questions will be connected to media literacy as well. So just like in the previous presentation by Clinta, this is also some of the data from a broader research, which is trying to research the media ecology of Latvia, and so this is the part of data that are about the usage of social media. And the reason why I use this term internet-based media is that of course, actually, like everything I will talk about could be represented by the term social media, but in the survey, we use the term social media because most people associate it with social networking sites. So we had a separate term as internet news sites and also digital service apps or something like that. So again, like in the previous presentation, the survey had a bit more than 1,400 respondents, and it was conducted by computer-mediated telephone interviews. So, for the beginning, so maybe this graph doesn't surprise much, because when it comes to acquiring information about the newest events and just the newest information, then of course we turn to media, not to the maybe people who we love and who we love to socialize with, but for the information we turn to media. And yeah, we see that internet news sites and television are in quite similar positions. However, internet news sites have taken the leading position. And then we have radio, and then in similar positions again, social media and print media. So we could say that somehow the branch of traditional media and the branch of the new media or the internet-based media are a bit symmetrical. So, but I think the picture gets a bit more interesting when we look at it with the age groups. So it looks a bit complex and complicated, but each of the lines represents one of the age groups, starting from the youngest ones, 16 to 24, up to the 75 and older. And we see that the first three are the traditional media, radio, TV, and print media. And we see, of course, that the youngsters use it less, the older ones use it more. And actually, this picture is very easy to memorize, because when it gets to the new media, then just the picture is completely opposite. We see that those who use less traditional media use the new media more. But what is also interesting here is that even for the youngest age group, social media is not in the first place. Still, of course, they could select multiple sources of information, and still more than 85% of the youngest ones still chose also internet news sites, and only 60% of them chose social media. Of course, for this purpose, so maybe they use it more for socializing and for social networking, as it's meant to be. So yes, the basic thing here is that the picture changes when it gets to the new media. So we go further, and we know that in the last years there were lots of news that were covering the privacy issues with social networking sites, especially about Facebook. So we had to ask, of course, how safe do you feel about your data on social media? And yeah, we see that The ones who feel the safest, so they chose rather safe or completely safe, are the youngest and the oldest. So, and in the group in the middle. So the picture is a bit puzzling, so we can't really see like real logic without exploring a broader context. But however, those who have most concerns are the ones from 35 up to 44. Maybe they are the ones like actively working and probably having more to be worried about what could go wrong with the break of privacy. So, but yes, so in all of the age groups we see some differences, and yeah, the age group of 45 to 54 is like the interesting thing because they're in the middle and still feeling rather safe about their data on the social media. And a question that is overlapping with the media literacy topic is about the news articles that are posted on social media. Like here we think about social networking sites, as most of the internet news sites are using Facebook or other social networks for their work, so they publish the news articles there. And so do we open them or just read the title only? And just as in the previous presentation, we saw that the youngest age groups have more media literacy, then we see this also here, that 84% of the youngest age group say that they really open the news article if they're interested in it, not only just to read the title only. Although it would be pretty tempting, because if we go to social media, then we're there for maybe another reason, and we need to go to another website to open it. So, but still, or maybe it's also that the young persons know that this is the right thing to say in the survey. So, but then again, it's a good thing that they know that opening the news article is the right thing to do, even if they don't do that. So that's what we don't know, but still, it's quite good to hear that. Yes, so the next thing, so in social media, and when I say this, I mean social networking sites, we have lots of people, different kinds of people, or different kinds of profiles there. So in our friends lists, we often have our families, friends, acquaintances, also we might follow some famous persons, and of course also news sites, and brands should be included here as well. But so whom of them do we trust? So we see that we rather trust or completely trust the family and friends. Also, in the first picture what I showed, it was shown that we don't turn to them for information. However, we trust them, and we have less trust in news sites, and even less than that we trust in famous person, which could be maybe ruined by the influencer trend and the fact that we don't know what is the bias behind the information published by famous persons that are well known in society. But it is interesting to see that the trust in news sites, for whom like their goal is to publish truthful information, still the trust is like we could say 57%. So maybe the picture would be a bit different if we separated like the legit or the official news sites, and we distincted them from smaller ones, or because of course when we speak about media literacy, we always speak that we shouldn't listen to everything we hear, so we need to double check everything. So we do that when it comes to news sites, but then again we're pretty keen on to trust what is said by family and friends, which is, we could also say, is a bit dangerous for the media literacy, because only because the person is my friend doesn't make him like competent in all of the issues he's talking about. So, but still, so we trust our close people more than we trust the news site. So in this picture, I didn't divide the age groups because there were no statistically significant differences between them. So it's a more general picture about this. And yeah, a bit more about the habits. And so where do we use the various kinds of this internet-based media? So it's still mostly used at home. Of course, I will not like go deeper in this picture, but here we could see that the youngest age groups have more possibilities to have the mobile technologies with them, so they are more keen to use them on public spaces or on transport. But still, also we know that using social media at work is not the best thing to do, so the percentage is of course less, and also for all the other types of media. So still we try to use it at home, or at least we say we do. But this is the most interesting thing to my mind, the digital services, because they are based on platforms, and each of these are, we could say they are the sectoral platforms, so they fulfill like a distinct function, for example, shopping online or booking some accommodation or something, but in most cases now they are based on infrastructural platforms like Apple or Google or Facebook or something, that so that we, in order to use them, we usually authenticate ourselves by using our social networking sites identity. So we give our data to these platforms, so they are connected to these. So we see that the percentage of using these services is maybe not that high if we look at the general picture, but it gets completely different when we go a bit deeper and compare the various age groups. So, of course, the 75 and plus are very close to 0% for using these, but the youngest generations are using all of the services a lot. So we see that of course, shopping online is very popular, and using the internet-based navigation, of course. But also, what is interesting is, for example, registering the health data, which is offered by most smartphones, and usually it's connected to some other platforms. And so the health data is migrated between different applications and all of the other things. So. Yeah, so what we see is that the youngest groups use them a lot. So in the future, when we speak about this social media regulation, we should also speak about this regulation of platforms that are based on internet, because here is the overlapping of many different contexts. It's about the business interest, it's about the governmental regulation of these, it's about ethical issues and data privacy, and all of the topics come together when we also speak about these platforms, because they use the same data that we publish on our social networking sites, and also use these data for other like bigger platforms and everything. So yeah, more or less that's what I wanted to show from this data about digital platforms, and I hope that in future we will also speak more about these kinds of platforms. So thank you.